Live. Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. And I hope actually you can possibly hear Sam.
Hopefully.
There you go, Sam. We've got you as well. So we've got a few people in the chat tonight. Felhate, Tom Wilson, Gareth Etherington is his first time viewer here as well. So hey Gareth, how you doing? And 12 Neef says, I don't have to work today so I can participate. 12 Neef, man, you're an absolute hero anyway. You know you're on hero status ever since you showed me how to play Skirmish. So thank you very much for joining us. If someone could be so kind and just let me know everything is streaming okay. So because I've done a little bit of a last minute setup. I have to confess this hasn't had the most preparation of a show ever. You know what? I've only just looked down, Sam, to realise I am indeed wearing the right T-shirt, which is a miracle. Because up until now, I think I forgot to get changed and everything. Howdy do, folks, says Derpimus Maximus. Happy Treason Day to our American friends. Derpimus Maximus, are you trying to call trouble? I think you are, aren't you? It's the 4th of July, of course. Independence Day. Congratulations. To all our wonderful independent Americans. I don't hold any grudges at all. History is history. And you are better for your independence. So, welcome one and all. Right, Sam.
Yes.
Where are we at? I'm in such a fluster. So,
yeah, it was like a whirlwind of getting ready at the end.
Sorry
a
about
long
that.
day. I just want to say as well, I think, obviously hello to everybody in the chat, but I think if Gareth Etherington is the same person on Facebook, it might be Garth Etherington. I posted it up on our Facebook the other day, the painting handle. Have you seen it yet?
I did. It looks really cool. It's like a little 3D printed thing with like split rings around it or like rubber rings around it to bind it. I thought that was well cool. Have you ordered one?
Yes, I ordered one, and it should be arriving on Saturday. So I'll let you know how I get on. I think I should have ordered the bigger one because there's a small version and there's a longer version. And the longer version has got like a block of cork in the middle of it further down where you can put like a pin in and it holds out the top. And I'm thinking with all of these, obviously, that I'm painting anyway, I can just drop the cork in myself and then I can actually use it as a better painting handle. But they're supposed to be quite good from what I've seen review-wise. And I keep seeing it on Facebook constantly. He's doing a good job at spreading it around. So I thought I'd give one a go.
They look pretty cool. So I think it's right by. I should mention, of course, Jack, the birthday boy of this week, is sat next to me. He's joining us for the show as well. So if you can say hello, Jack, I just want to check the audio levels, actually. I think people can hear you. That's okay. So that's cool. Right, we've got Baz Watkins saying good evening. Oh, Ralph and Coleman have joined us. Good evening, Ralph and Coleman. Ralph, I thought you were going out. He's watching at his neighbours. So he is out. He's just watching at his neighbours. Coleman's hit a live show. Ants in the Pants says, hey team, glad to catch you on a live show. For once it's Treason Day. Owen Jackson, evening hobby heroes. My goodness me, I've never been called a hobby hero before, but thank you very much, Owen. That's what it is.
I think he's talking to everyone in the chat.
Oh well, yeah, or he could be talking to you and Jack.
There's a guy across the street from me who's a mechanic, and what he does at this time of night quite regularly now is just rev the car continuously for like an hour straight. So if you can hear that, I apologise. But
I can't hear it, Sam. So, but I am old and frail and losing all of my facilities, faculties or facilities, both of them. John H says, "Hail WGO from Groton, CTU USA." So wow. Hey John J, how you doing? Tom Wilson's in there. Derpimus Maximus, he's scratching a joke, but he's caused a debate with Felhate. Jack says, Coleman says, Jack, how did your exams go?
They went alright. Chemistry and physics was alright. Biology was a bit debatable, but you know.
We've just been, we were away this weekend because we were actually looking at university, weren't we? So it's exciting times.
Yes, well, you could say that.
But enough of real life. John J, Brush for Hire, Tom Wilson, Owen Jackson, all here. So so shall we, Sam, get on with the show?
Yeah, so it's basically a new format. Well, we're going to try and do it. It's going to be a new format, but a familiar one because this is what we did at the beginning. But we're trying to go back to more group-based chats and try and do them regularly, aiming for weekly, but also put them up as podcasts so that anybody listening back to these can listen to them as a podcast. So just the audio. The video is not as important as it never is anyway. But we're going to try and do a more structured podcast style show that we can put in multiple places, and it can be shared around a little bit easier than just on YouTube. But we're breaking it down section wise. I think we're going to start as we used to. We just talk about the hobby updates, well, our hobby updates and what we've been working on. Then the news, so any big news or even little news, either from Games Workshop or different hobby companies or any sort of things that we think are worth talking about and discussing. And then we've got a third section, and there's something I was thinking about the other day is I love my conversions and making things, and it's the bits that make the conversions a lot of the time. So I thought it'd be quite a cool idea just to pick a favorite bit each week from whoever's on the show, whichever guests are going to be on, can just pick their favorite bit from Games Workshop or Forge or Kit, and then we'll put it up on screen for anybody who is watching, or we'll just describe it in heavy detail for anybody listening in audio, the bit that we're talking about, and also discuss some of the uses that can be used for that maybe. And then final part of the show, which is probably the main part of the show, is the topic that we're talking about. Now this week we've got a couple that we're going to be talking about. One of them is the Age of Sorcery, because there's a lot of magic focus in the new Age of Sigmar, so we'll be talking a little bit about that. Each week we'll have different topics, and we'll always be after suggestions as well. So if you've got any suggestions for topics, leave it in the comment for this show, and then afterwards we'll make a list of all of the comments for topics, hobby-related topics, and then we'll put them into a little spreadsheet, and we'll pick a random topic each week. If we haven't got one ourselves, we'll use one of yours, and we'll credit you if you give us the topic as well. So there's always that. And what was the other thing? Oh, Killteam. Killteam has had a leaked video. I say leaked, it was leaked by Games Workshop. But we'll have a talk about that as the main topic for this show as well. And then we'll close. And that's pretty much the show format that we're going to try and go for a little bit.
Awesome. While you were doing that, Sam, as well, just so you know, because it was all happening in the background while your dulcet tones entertain the masses, I've just jiggled the framework around as well, so now they can see your beautiful face on the larger frame as well when you're talking.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've done that classic thing, of course, because I've now got super fast internet, which Sam is painfully jealous of. I'm hosting the show, but now I can do all sorts of powerful and amazing things. So even though it's my tech that's hosting the show, I didn't see any reason why you couldn't be the main face on the screen. So there you go.
Well, it's quite nice because I can just carry on painting these carriage-ons because I need all the time I can get at the moment. So I can leave you in the master chair, playing around with your tech and your screens and all the stuff that you enjoy doing, and I can just sit here with a paintbrush and paint brown for like an hour.
Yeah, seriously, I just think you're using your internet as an excuse for me to essentially do all the streaming stuff while you get on with painting.
Hey, I made the thumbnail.
Do you know how much I've got to do, Sam? Do you know how much I've got to do? Like, you care. Look at this. Look at this. I've got this to try out as well. I don't know whether you can see that, Sam, but
I'm not even looking, because the thing is, I know what you're like. You're adding extra work into this.
Wrong one.
Yeah, but I'm showing it Sam.
Oh, right.
Sam can see that one. That's the Sam cam. You know
Oh,
what?
I never got one of those.
Why don't I move the Sam cam round so Sam can see both of us? There you go, Sam. And now everybody can see it. Look, check that. I've not tried it yet.
I never got one of those yet. I'm interested in trying it out.
Right. Okay then. So, well, we've got a bunch of stuff on the chat. Is it worth catching up briefly on the chat again? Would love a podcast from you guys, says 12 Neef. Big Mac Danskill's in there saying good evening. Ian Stanford says evening guys, it's been a long time. That feels like it should be a song. Fellhate says yeah, too hot here at the moment. It is incredibly hot everywhere, so personally I think there's been witchcraft or something. Yeah, Sam's beard close up, there you go. People are pretty happy to see your beard, Sam.
It's not really a majestic beard, it's just my scruff into it.
We were at the Jorvik Viking Centre in York, and we were in the queue, weren't we? And I more or less got assaulted by like an old lady,
she was
didn't I?
obsessed with your beard.
Completely obsessed with my beard, and it was that awkward thing where she wouldn't stop talking about my beard. Way past when I got embarrassed about it, she just went on and on and on about my beard. And we were in a queue together for like 45 minutes, so it was just
quite awkward.
It was. Really,
I think it was more awkward for me than you, though.
Yeah, it was, and I was doing that polite thing where you answer back, going, "Yes, my beard is fine and bushy." And it's like
I do oil it and comb it.
Yeah, it never went away. Anyway, Pankaka Medjdi. I can't remember how to pronounce that now, but it's Pankaka Medj site.
So.
Anyway, brilliant. I've been considering making a human Kharadron Overlord's army as well, but not sure what models to use for it. You're using the Necromunda guys, right? What conversions are you doing to make them work?
So, to be fair, the Orlok Necromunda kit is perfect by itself. So I'm using the revolvers that they come with as the pistols that the Arcanaut company have, and then their other weapon is a close combat weapon. So this dude's got one of the revolvers and like a little dagger in his other hand. The special weapons are in the Orlok kit as well. To be fair, the light sky hooks, I'm using the harpoon launchers. The volley guns, I'm using the what are they called, Jack? Stubbers, are they? From 40k.
Stubbers?
Heavy stubber. I think it's a heavy stubber.
Like
yeah,
the big long thing, got a big box.
Yeah, it's effectively a Gatling gun, so I'm using that.
Wait.
And then for the Thunderers, which have all got special types of weapons, I'm using Escher, and I'm just chopping up guns and hands. I'm going to be doing a lot more on in detail with the Kharadron Overlord stuff later on, so I'll post some more information on that. But yeah, Necromunda is your perfect set of stuff to use. The other one is a Gene Stealer Cult. Phil was saying the other day to get color schemes from there, and it's genius for color schemes, but it's also great for models. You can mix up any of those kits because they're just brilliant. So that's easy.
So, talking maybe about Gene Stealer cults as we lead into Gene Stealer cults, should we cover the first part of our topic, really?
Well, what have you been doing? Let's do hobby. What have you been doing?
Should we do hobby? Right, what have I been doing? I've been doing... Hold on a second, let's see if I can get this up. Will that work? Yeah, that's me now. So I'm working on this big tray of wonderfulness. For those of you who can see that. So that is all of the all of the night haunts. Lots of them. So I think there's 2 sets there, I think. So that's about just over 1,000 points, which are not far off battle reportable, I think. We're certainly going to get a battle report or 2 done with them. I know we're hoping to get a game in tomorrow night. That's right,
yes,
Sam?
yeah, hopefully.
So what are you playing, by the way? Have we decided?
I mean, I've got the 2,500 points of ghouls just finished on their bases. They didn't want to end.
So that's probably worth mentioning. Jack's been working on his 2,500 points of ghouls, and you've literally rebased the entire army in this wonderful, weird purple and green water sort of effect, which is meant to be the realm of Shaiish.
I thought it fit,
So Jack's been mega busy on that, including rebasing, believe it or not, 70 little.
70. I was literally blind by the end of it. It was ridiculous.
There you go. So 70 tiny little ghouls have been rebased along with a whole bunch of stuff, all magnetized, all little 3D printed bases and those kind of things. I need to magnetize the Nighthaunt, and given that they've been done on Shaiish, and also I've followed suit for my army in terms of basing as well, so I've gone with this weird sort of amethyst. I'm told it's purple. I've used independent witnesses, so this purple sort of landscape, and to kind of wrap all of that up, we're also working on the Shaiish board.
We are. Got all the terrain over there.
So maybe Jack can pop across at some point and get one of those pieces. In fact, actually, do you want to if you can just unplug and grab one of the realm gates I'm working on? That's probably the one with the traditional realm gatey bits at the back. That one, why not? So I am working on some Shaiish realm gates. So this is using the I can't remember the name of the scenery piece. But Rich Mortz, who is also my brother, that's sometimes on the Wargamer online community group.
Getting confused there, aren't you?
I'm so old, Sam. He donated all of this wonderful terrain, and of course I've immediately hacked it apart. And I've done it in the sort of double-sided realm gate, so that's going to pop through to the realm, some other realm. We've not quite decided which realm is on that side of the gate, and as you can see, it's kind of a different set of steps and those kind of things. But then when you turn it round, you've got the sort of Shaiish terrain and those kind of... I mean, obviously there's some filling to do, and I'm going to put one of those big skulls there and those kind of things.
You're going to have to describe it for those people who are just listening on audio.
Oh, okay. So for those listening on audio, good point, Sam. I forgot we were meant to be kind of trying to...
It's
the Arcane Runes. Ruins, says 12 New. So yes, what I've done is double stacked an archway from the Arcane Runes and cut it in half, and then stuck that half onto the half of the standard Realm Gate model. Check out the Wargamer online community page and forum as well, because I'll be uploading on the forum, so you can check out the images on there as well if you're listening in at a later date. Apologies for that. Still got to get used to this new format, Sam.
No, me too. It's, I mean, this was sprung upon us both really by me.
By ourselves.
Half an hour ago. Let's do a show where we can do a podcast as well. Yeah, okay, sounds good. Hit live.
So I think that's it. We've done battle boards, armies. Obviously, we were filming the reviews as well. It is hobby related. We were filming the reviews for the Stormcast Battle Tome and the Nighthorn Battle Tome as well.
Building my next army as well, haven't I? I've done the first 10
of
Witch Elves,
Daughters of
Cain. Yes.
So that's the next
need to get
sort of.
right, 'cause I do keep forgetting.
Jack's just been nailing his armies out. He's done 2,000 points of Beastclaw Raiders, followed by 2,500 points of Ghouls, and now you're moving on to Daughters of Cain.
2,500 points of Daughters of Cain is the plan. Don't hold me to that.
Don't hold Jack.
I may become like crazy by the end of it.
Jack's been really decent in keeping his voice quiet, Sam. Have you noticed?
He's trying, yeah. I mean, the battle reports. I watch them, and I literally have to turn the volume down and turn it up and turn it down. It's like I'm manually adjusting the sound control while I'm watching Jack's game, just because it's so loud.
That's even after I've gone through and adjusted it in the edit to the point where I've gone insane. So.
He just booms, and then he goes back to being quiet and muttering, and then he booms again, and you're just like, oh my god.
I like to keep it exciting, Sam.
It is exciting.
I don't want to make life easy for you at the end of the day. So.
Okay, so Sam, your hobby chat while I do some juggling around. Then let's do that. I can do some juggling around on the chat.
Juggling around. Okay, I've basically just been doing the Caradon Overlord still, so I'm still working on the color scheme. I've posted it up on the Facebook page already, but I've kind of sorted the color scheme that I'm going to go for, which is black leather for the boots, the gloves, and the straps, which are on these people. I've done a Rhinox hide base for the trousers and the jackets, and then I've painted their shirts in Xandri Dust going up to Screaming Skull at the moment. And then the metallics is a mixture between the silver for some of the blades and the revolvers, and then a brass, which is brass. It goes up to Brass Scorpion from Warplock Bronze, and I've added Nyla Cockside as well, just to weather it and make it look a lot more battered. So I'm finally sorted on the colour scheme. It looks quite nice. You probably can't see this. Let me have a look. No, you can't see it at all, really. But it's on the Facebook page. It's on the Facebook page with better pictures and things. But I'm happy with how it's come out as a test model. And now I'm just going through the next 10-man unit, and I'm just painting all of the base colours and working my way through them. And that's pretty much it. I've got 30 of them to do in total for the infantry. Then I've got the special units, the characters, and all of the boats to do. So I'm just making progress so I can start using these in battle reports and do some more videos on them. That's me for hobby.
Hobby update done. Right, okay, well that's cool. So in the meantime, I did some more jiggling around in this last minute show, so that's quite good. We're back in the room. Your work on the Caradon Overlords then, do you think it's possible to predict an end game on this? When do you think you'll have these done by? I want to see you commit to the channel fans on when these are going to be done.
I mean, the problem is, I've got an extra load of work I need to do now. So whereas before I had a bit more time, now I'm kind of trying to get the evenings to sit and paint as much as I can. But at this rate, I might get a 10-man unit done a week at best, and then I've got all of the special ones. It still might be 2-3 months away before they're fully done, because the boats are massive and I want to do a good job on them, especially the Ironclad. I've got to come around yours and you've got to lend me your expertise and start drilling holes in them, haven't you, for all the bases?
That's the plan. We've got a couple of people on chat asking questions, Sam, so shall we jump over that? Martin Johnston, by the way, says evening all. Good evening.
Evening.
Ian Sanford says he's trying to work out a colour scheme for his knights, and Simon Key says, are you guys going to the Forge World Specialist Games event? When is that one? That would be a good question to ask. When is Forge World coming up? I don't think it's that far off, is it? Possibly not. Most likely, I think we're away. No, I can't find the date of it actually. Warhammer World Campaign Weekend. Somebody can tell us, but probably not. I know that we're building up towards doing one of the later tournaments at Warhammer World. We'll be doing that, but that'll be later in the year. The sort of, I think there's one August, is it September, something like that, or October?
The problem is the one that's in October, I think, is the same weekend that we're supposed to be going to Germany.
Good point. Good point.
So what might happen is we may end up having to go on. I think we were going to go on the Thursday anyway, because that's when Patrick's going for the show.
Right.
So we could go on the Thursday, get back on the Friday, and then go to the tournament on the Saturday, Sunday. So it'd be a busy week and weekend, but potentially we could do both. But we'll have to find out. And saying that, we might not, because Patrick was going to go as doubles as well. And if he's going to fly from Germany, although he could fly with us from Germany, straight back to the tournament. It could happen. We'll just have to plan it.
Sounds glorious. Jet setting lifestyle. Pankaka says, what are you doing with the boats? Keep them pretty much vanilla or conversions? I think Coleman's already jumped in as well, but you have done some previous videos on what you're doing, but do you want to briefly describe what you're doing overall?
To be fair, there's not much conversions on the majority of the ships. I kept them simple. With the little gun haulers, I've taken off the second gunner. Oh, there's a plane flying over, just as I'm describing vessels. I've kept the gunner off and I've kind of battened down the hatch. I figured they're going to be more limited on people because they've been outlawed from the rest of the Sky Fleet. So they're limited on people who can actually man these ships. And I quite like the idea that they've just kind of filled it with, it's like a little house. So each one of these gun haulers is where that pilot lives. And they don't have anywhere to go home to. So they keep all of their baggage and bedding and everything on these boats with them. And that's what I wanted to add on them. On the front of it, I had to carve off all of the dwarf. What are they called? What's the front of the ship called? Figurehead?
Brow. Oh, the figurehead. Yeah.
The figurehead. So I've carved off all of the dwarven figureheads on all of the ships. That was the biggest amount of work because they're not thin plastic. I had to carve quite a bit. I definitely chopped my finger at least 3 times. The same one, actually. I kept getting it. But now there's big holes on the front, so I either fill them with another sort of figurehead and then fill the gaps with green stuff, or I do like balsa wood planks. So I've still got to finish the front of them. The ironclad is the big conversion, and that's the one I've done the most amount of work on. That's where I've basically done the Ideneth Deepkin scenery piece, and I've made a shell around the outside of the ironclad. I've made it almost double the size. It's huge. It still will work on the same base that the ironclad's on, but it just looks like a giant ghost ship, and I'm really happy with how that's come out. But the rest of them are quite simple.
Cool. We've got a confirmation. It's 15th of July, by the way, for Forge World opening, which I can pretty much say a resounding no. Then I'm going on holiday not long after that, and we've just been discussing our release schedule. We've got quite a bit of filming to do between now and then, haven't we, Sam? So that's going to be a no. So I do want to get along to more of those things, but we need to get the kind of holiday season, and we're pretty crazy busy on stuff for the channel at the moment. Ian says he's going to the 40k tournament in Amsterdam in November. That's probably one we could do. I said I'd take you to Amsterdam one day. Might squeeze that one in. Okay. Sure, we can make that happen somehow.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. So if you want myself and Jack to go along to the Amsterdam tournament, then give us a thumbs up and a like on and every like on this video I'll take as a resounding vote for myself and Jack to go along to Amsterdam for the tournament. Right, what else have we got? I think that's hobby done, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what have we got to talk about now?
Well, we're halfway through the show already, and we've not really talked about much. Maybe we'll cut the rest of it down. We'll get better at these structures. We've not done structures in a while, have we? We've just kind of just done hobby chat and just talk nonsense for an hour. Next, news. So we can go through fairly quickly, can't we, really, in terms of news? Mm-hmm. Games Workshop. Have you got pictures, or do you want me to just talk about things?
I've got pictures up. So
you tell me what you've got, and then we can talk about it.
Well, there's a brief bit of news on Golden Demon. I think this is surely this affects you, Sam, because I think I'd like to see you entering more Golden Demons. Surely. So this is the news that the Slayer Sword is going to be, remain the main annual event, isn't it? But they're going to be doing more Golden Demon competitions at pretty much all of the events. Is that's the way it's going? The specialist open days, Forge World, all the rest?
Yeah, so the minute, if you go to a Golden Demon event, whether it's the classic one or one that's at an open day, I'm pretty sure you can still win a Slayer sword. So the best thing that turns up on that day will win a Slayer sword. Whereas now they want to make them more rare. They want to make them rarer, and it will literally be the best of the best who can try and compete for the Slayer sword. So that's going to be once a year thing rather than once every 2 or 3 months that you can potentially win a Slayer sword. But on the plus side, they're going to be doing more Golden Demons, so more events, tournaments, and open days. You'll be able to basically see that, enter that.
And there's another one saying they've had a request from Golden Demon attendees for more prizes. So what they're going to do now is you get the stylish finalist pin and certificates for all commended entries. So that's where the entries that the models and judges think they're deserving of special recognition. I like to think I got a finalist pin before they became easy to get.
Yeah, you can always tell them that. Like, you got it back when it was really hard to
back
get.
when it was hard to get one. Sam, are you okay?
Yeah. I know that was aimed at trying to bait you into it, but I kept my composure, and we're all good.
You did stunningly well there, mate. I'm proud of you every day we go on. So we've also got some news. Nova Open welcomes Necromunda. I mean, that's great to see that game expanding as well, and Nova Open are going to be covering it as part of their tournament scene. Necromunda's definitely something I need to kind of spend a little bit more time on. We've got all the scenery we need. We've got all the models we need. We just need to get our gangs painted. You know, and surely, Sam, you've fallen in love with the Orlocks by now. Surely you want to paint a few more.
No, I actually don't. I was thinking, I said this to you the other day, the amount of detail that's on these Necromunda kits, you can tell why they're in like gangs of 10 and 20 max, because you really don't want to paint an army of these. Foolishly, I've decided to convert them and use them as an army. But yeah, I don't want to paint any more Orlocks after these.
They are incredible models. The whole set is just amazing.
I think it's the best in terms of releases from Games Workshop. I could honestly say that the Necromunda series of miniatures is probably up there as the best. And that's quite a big statement, because I love fantasy. I love a lot of the models that you can get for armies. But as a whole, I don't think I've seen a Necromunda model where I think, yeah, not bothered about that. I think you could do every single one of them. The Vansar are a little bit questionable, but overall, they're incredible models.
Which one are the Vansar?
They used to be really
like with all the high-tech shields.
Oh, I like them. I think the high-tech like energy shields well cool. Reminds me of like Halo.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Delac. When they bring those out, I'm going to do a gang of Arcanauts just for those. Like, it's brilliant because my fantasy army is made up of Necromunda, which is amazing. I can just take that entire set and chuck it into fantasy, and nobody can even blink an eye because it's fine.
So we've got right. Sam King says, "Bye-bye, see you later, guys." So Sam's got to head off. Is that Sam? That's Sem King, actually. Sem King, sorry. Had to get closer there.
Hold on, let me just go up. Oh, it's Felhate. If I ever... Oh, yes, Sam did say, do you have an Iron Jaws model on hand? He's gone now, but no, I don't. I've got a showcase if you want to see that. That's probably the best thing to see them on. Felhate, if I ever come to play a game with you guys, can I arrange Sam's paint, please? No. And who was it? Was it you or was it Mike that did that?
I'm sure it was Mike.
Somebody came around my house while I was away and rearranged all of my paints.
That was Mike. Yeah.
It will have been Mike.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like something you would do.
It doesn't sound like anything I do.
No.
I'm pretty sure you've done it as well, Phil, actually.
No, I haven't even got a key to your house.
I need that key back just because I'm really worried now because it takes a while to rearrange. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Owen Jackson says Gene Stealer Cult are great fun in Necromunda. You have a gang already. I mean, that's the thing is I do need to just finish off my Gene Stealer Cult. And so, Killteam ? Talking about Gene Stealer Cult and maybe really out of the news, although they've not featured anything directly on the Warhammer community site. There was a brief video. I'm not going to show the video now because it's such an incredible short teaser. It's just some text essentially popping up on screen, some ominous music.
Some Mechanicum text, it seems like,
but it's Killteam, Sam.
Yeah. Oh, are we going to finish the news? News-wise, there isn't much else, is there? That you've got the new releases, which we've already covered. It's the new army books, and the pre-orders are the new Nighthaunt models.
Crikey, good point, actually. Yeah. I mean, I kind of not gone back to the books because we have covered the books. There's a couple of videos up on our channel if you want to check them out. We've got a review for Stormcast, and we've got a review for Nighthaunt as well, so check those two out. You know, if you're expecting to be able to just go through our video and print screen and get every single page of the book, you can't do that, but it's a genuine review, as in a couple of hobbyists chatting about the books and what we liked in them and what we think it means for the game, so check that out.
And there's also another thing to point out with that, sorry Phil, the people who have been doing these reviews, like Pink and Jack and me and everybody else, we have these books for maybe a day at best, at maximum. So we go through the books and we pick out the best bits, but we by no means have enough time to go through all of it. So there obviously are a lot of extra bits that we sometimes miss out or mistake. So if there are mistakes, then obviously that's why.
Yeah,
we don't get loads of time.
If we had like 4 weeks, but you can understand Games Workshop don't want them floating around in the market, you know, for weeks on end before your reviews go up. So you know, you get a limited amount of time. We're still incredibly grateful for the time. It's great to get them and go through them, and it's brilliant that Games Workshop are you know, helping us out by providing review products to us as well, which is fantastic. Hopefully they've released a Ratskin gang. It was the first gang 20 years ago, so I think is that for Killteam? That's like moving someone's toilet paper. Oh right, Tyler says that's like moving someone's toilet paper. I'm assuming that's referring to me moving your Mike moving your paints around.
Oh, it was. Oh, it all comes out.
No, it's Mike. And right, okay then. So
I asked me to dog sit.
I think there's two things I'm pretty excited about Killteam. We saw a while ago there was some review stuff put up a long time ago, wasn't there? It was either on the leak sites, but I'm pretty certain actually this was from the open day. We actually saw a little bit of the terrain that's coming out, which just looks insane because you're getting that new approach to terrain that looks absolutely beautiful. It's not as spiky, and it's not like the old Gothic ruin stuff. So
very cathedraly, but less Gothic cathedraly.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about that terrain. I have to say, and anybody who watches the channel for more than 4 or 5 seconds gathers that I get quite excited about terrain. So that's one thing I'm pretty excited about. The other thing I'm excited about is just that whole small format 40k. The fact that we can get some games in just in the night, get home from work, half-an-hour game, something like that. It's just going to be fun. And we used Skirmish a couple of times in Sigmar, didn't we, just to get more familiar with unit rules. How much of it is a crossover? How much is going to be unique rules compared to, say, Skirmish? You know, I think this is going to have... But it is a complete relaunch, this, isn't it? It's a complete new game. That's what's being said, so...
Well, that's the thing. Killteam in past has just been 40k, but with some more rules, hasn't it? So if this is going to be a complete relaunch, I'm expecting probably rules of their own. Maybe something like Shadespire or something.
So if it's a Killteam gang for me, it's got to be Gene Stealer Cult, just because that's my next big 40k project, is to get those 3,000 points finished. For you?
They've advertised Mechanicum, so I think I'm going to be doing Mechanicum. Because I've already got some of that painted up, and I'd love to add to that army.
The video's definitely talking about Mechanicum as well, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, you can see that.
So I think definitely that.
What about you, Sam? Because obviously these Killteam rules, I think it's going to be a little bit like Necromunda or Skirmish. They're probably just going to include rules for everything along the way, aren't they? But so, any particular Killteam you've got your eye on?
I might potentially do World Eaters.
Really?
Yeah, I've always wanted to do them, and I think small enough format for me to do a small warband or a small kill team of World Eaters, and I might even do them in the Heresy scheme because that's the one I like the most, and I could do it as a band of dudes that have been around since the Heresy, and just see how I get on with it. Really, the other option might be White Scars and do like an infantry force. But I think something that I've wanted to do is White Scars or World Eaters, and I'll use this as a good excuse to just get on with it.
So what would that be? Would that essentially just be Chaos Marines as far as the game's concerned, do you think? Because you're not going to see... or World Eaters, will they be the kind of Khorne?
Yeah,
it could go either way, to be fair. I could play them as loyalists still. You know, I could do them as normal Space Marines and play them as that, or I could do them as Chaos and do them in... I could even keep them in, you know, the white and run them as Chaos still, because you know, the world is my oyster, the universe is my oyster. I can do them whichever. Oh god, that was deafening. I could do them as whichever way I want. Thank you for deafening me. Who was that?
I think that's a subscriber, but I'm not sure the notification popped up. Just the ridiculously loud chime came up. So it did pop up. Like, did you catch who subscribed?
No, I just saw subscribe.
Well, whoever you were, we'll watch back on the video. Sam can probably find it out because he's got some kind of clever back end tech to work it out. But whoever you were, thank you very much for subscribing. Cheers. Tom Wilson says, I think the new Killteam box is a Road Trader box. I think I saw a picture today. And also goes on to say, embrace the chaos, Sam. So, you know, anybody who's been in 40k for any length of time, to be honest, it was the Rogue Trader stuff that attracts me. Every time Rogue Trader is in... Wow, there we go again. Gareth Etherington has just subscribed.
There we
Thank
go.
you very much, Gareth. That might be the same notification as before. It might not be, but thank you very much, Gareth, mate. Yeah, the Rogue Trader lore.
Small warbands, yeah. I mean, that's why we both did Inquisition warbands, didn't we?
Back in the day, yeah.
Do you think we can get our... day of Inquisition.
Do you think we can get our Inquisition gangs out? That would be cool.
I didn't finish painting mine.
You're not finished?
I'm bad like that.
Okay, we need to look at... The other thing, slightly off to one side, but I was reading one of the 40k books, or rather listening to one of the audio books. And do you remember when I did Hover Rhino for my Inquisition team, Sam? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I did that golden Hover Rhino.
It was the Emperor's transport, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know what? It's actually in the fluff. It was in that book.
Yeah, I told you it was in the fluff. It was the Emperor's. It was one of the Custodes transports.
I was so excited because obviously with the new Custodes transports, which look completely different, I was thinking they may be sort of retconned out of the background, but they're still in there, including a Hover Land Raider, by the way, in that story.
I've not seen that, although isn't that just a repulsor?
Yeah, you're right. It might just be a repulsor at that respect, I suppose. Yeah. Hey,
I mean, okay, models wise, I imagine we're going to get access to all of our stuff anyway, aren't we? Whichever teams they do, there'll be some way to play them in some shape or form. Rules wise, what are we actually looking forward to? Because that's the thing for me. For me to actually get into it, it has to be simple enough and similar enough to 8th edition 40k for me to even look at it. The reason I'm not playing Heresy at the moment, and I know there's a lot of people who love Heresy because it is 7th edition and are continuing to play it because it's 7th edition, but that's the reason I'm not interested in it right now, and that's purely because I don't have the not necessarily patience, but I don't have the mental capacity to remember too many rule systems. So Age of Sigmar and 40k is pretty much the limit for me. When you chuck in a third one, I'm going to forget. When you chuck in mini games and skirmish games that have extra rules, I'm struggling. So I'm hoping it stays like skirmish fantasy, where it's basically Age of Sigmar but in a miniature form. I hope it's going to be 8th edition in a miniature form.
So you don't, I mean that's the whole point, isn't it? It's got to be, I don't think they'll go Necromunda, as in, you know, extended damage rules, extended cover rules and all the rest, because it doesn't make sense for them to do that, because that's what Necromunda does. I'm with you.
Which is why I'm away. I mean, I love the Necromunda models, don't get me wrong, but it's the rules where I'm not too fussed about playing that. You know, if we were playing a proper campaign game, Necromunda would be something to play. If you're playing a one-off game that you just want to play with your mates and you've got a standard that you can always go back to and you can go to a club and play a game, Killteam's going to be the thing that I'd be more interested in than Necromunda.
Because certainly, I mean, it's fortuitous 12 Neef is in the chat because he was over in Warhammer World when we were there, popped over from America actually, and what was great about that was it was just like picking up your standard Sigmar army. Yeah. You know, each unit was an individual model, but that individual model essentially behaved exactly like the unit. And that's what made it quick. It also was what made it a great vehicle to learn your army. Because you know you can have all of those units represented, moving with a single figure around. Yeah.
But I mean, if it's based on, I'm going to just go with the example of it's Warhammer skirmish. That's what I'm going to look at it as. And if it is going to be following that format, I think it's good in multiple ways, because if you play Age of Sigmar and then you go down to skirmish, the units don't necessarily work the same, because some models work better as a unit with all the special upgrades that you can have, and other units can work really well just as an individual model, like brutes or stormcast and things like that. So it'd be interesting if 40k Killteam does the same, because you might look at some of your collection where you don't necessarily use some of the models and you think, oh, they're going to be brilliant in Killteam, it's worth trying them out. So I think that would be quite good rules wise. But for me, I mean, I can see myself getting 10 models, converting them up, going to town on them, spending a couple of weeks painting them up, and then using them in a game. And it's not like a 6-month army plan. It's a 2 or maximum 1 month to build, convert, and paint an entire kill team to use for a game. So I actually see this as a way for me to pay 40k again.
Yeah, I think for me as well, it's probably a way for me to paint some models to a standard I've not done for a long time, because a lot of the painting I do is this bulk army painting, like I've done with the Nighthaunts. I think that's what I showed earlier in the show, and what I will put up onto the forum for those people listening in later, is the result of probably about 3 hours of painting. So that stuff's, in 3 hours I've got 50-60 models done. It would be nice to get 3 models done in 60 hours maybe, and really have some go to town on the models and really have some fun with that. So
I think it was 3 hours, because I'm sure I painted a jacket in the time that you did all of those.
That's not right.
Yeah, but the difference, of course, is I don't particularly look at this Nighthawk army and feel incredibly satisfied with the paint job. They're serviceable, I think, for battle reports. That's primarily what we've done. I think they'll look okay from a distance, but they're not models that you can pick up and go, wow, look at the paint job on this. So it's not always fulfilling to paint to that level. It's nice to kind of pick some stuff and take it a bit further. And I've done that with a couple of the models in the Fire Slayers, but again, not the whole army. Yeah. So it'd be nice to do that. It will be nice just to focus on a small group of models and really go to town on the paint job. So, right, we've got some chat going off in the thing. So we've got Simon says School League next year is Killteam focus, so obviously going to be well supported. An excellent entry game. There you go. It's a good point, actually. It's great news for the hobby, isn't it? Because if it gives an entry game into 40k, then that's all good for the 40k scene, really.
And for me, like I was saying before, just to go over it again, like I've not played 8th edition since I played a game against Mike last year. That was the last time I played it, and I'm not too quick to jump back into it at the moment, because it's like, oh, I've got to do a whole army. Whereas Killteam, if you say to me, okay, you've got a few weeks, here's the rules, they're 8th edition rules, but slimmed down to individual models, have fun. And that's more appealing to me, even though I've been in the hobby. So it's not just for new people, it's for people who have not necessarily got the time or the drive to do an army, but just want to actually play a different system for a change, to change the palette as well, from fantasy to 40k, or in my terms, Necromunda to 40k, and just get on with a different rule system for a little bit.
I'm thinking back to what you said on a show the other week, which is you like 40k, but you're not in love with any of the factions. And also, what it's like when you start actually working back on a faction, and then you stick on a few audio books, and you start to get into the background again, and then before you know it, you're absolutely hooked again. Because for me, that's where the engagement is. It's when you actually engage with the stories as well.
I think I'm with you with that, but my problem isn't getting engaged with them, it's getting engaged with an army. Like you listen to the audiobooks, and a lot of the time it's based around a squad or a few individuals. It's not based around an army. So you can probably fall in love with a unit, but then when it comes to transferring that to a 40k army, there's no way to do it other than having a squad in that army. But you love 10 models, but then you've got another 90 that you've got to just do for the sake of playing it. Whereas with Killteam, you can do that 10-man squad that you love and just get on with it and actually enjoy it.
Okay, Tyler says, I bought the Age of Sigmar skirmish rules, but still haven't played a game of it yet. Do it. It takes about 10 minutes to set up and about 20 to 30 minutes to play, so just do it. That's what 12 Neath proved to us. We were literally finishing one game, and he was like, right, no, let's do a skirmish game. We're like, oh man, we're packing away. were good, and he was like, "No, get your models on the table."
I think you did it whilst me and someone else was finishing up a game. You just had.
I used my Iron Jaws.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
I won. I smashed everybody as the Iron Jaws. It was brilliant.
Did you? I can't remember you beating me, but there you go.
I didn't play you.
Oh, well, that's why.
We bicker too much when we play games. As well.
We do bicker too much, Sam. We're like, I was going to say salt and water, but that actually works.
What did Jack say?
I was going to say at least me and you played together nicely, Sam.
That's true. That's true.
At least we're nice to each other.
You know what? That last game, I was probably the least salty I've ever been from the start to the end, like ever. And you were still complaining. I don't know what else I could do after that.
Be nice.
I know. I mean, that is the best I could do, Jack. That was the peak of my performance of being nice to you, and you still got salty with me. There's nothing I can do more than that.
So, Tom Wilson says, the lore and stories of 40k is keeping me from Sigmar at the minute. Each book read spawns a new army. So there you go. That's the thing is, when you engage with that background, I'm being a little bit of an audiobook fickle tart at the moment. I go from Age of Sigmar back to 40k, back to Age of Sigmar. I've been working through the Ravner series and the Eisenhorn series. So I really want to do Inquisition again. And that's why I'm with you. You know what? I hadn't even put 2 and 2 together, but if you can do an Inquisitor retinue inside Killteam, I'm going to be so happy.
I mean, I'm always confused. I come in and paint with you, and golden boys coming down on lightning and hitting people with hammers. I go out for 5 minutes, come back, and now we're shooting people with bolt guns. Just like, oh, what happened in the last one?
But you know, if you haven't listened to the or read the Eisenhorn series, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And Ravner's such a cool character as well. In fact, so much so that I really want to just sculpt my own Ravner model. I don't think he exists.
I mean, you've got Eisenhorn, don't you?
I've got Eisenhorn, yeah.
So
I mean, Ravner's just a black box with a few lights on the front. I love
Great, wasn't it? Just this uber powerful psychic just floating about.
Okay, so Ian Savage says, I still have nightmares from watching the same birthday game in May. I think it was actually Sam's birthday game in May.
That was so overload, wasn't it?
Well, Rachel was awful to you in that game, in only the way a wife can be to someone on his birthday. I mean, go on.
She's like that all the time, but that's the first time it's been recorded live, so you all understand the...
we've all got proof now.
We've all got proof, and Jack's just as bad. You know, they're all just as bad. I mean, we're being negative about Rachel here, but this isn't one person that we should be complaining about.
No,
this
is everybody but Sam.
I know, it's
everybody.
He's so hard done to, isn't he? Honestly, we're so horrible to him.
No, there was only one point that Rachel, I think she said it's like, you know, whatever, something to hit, but you have to re-roll. Oh, it was -1 to hit, wasn't it? And you'd done a series of rolls where you rolled so high to hit, you rolled incredibly high to wound, and she went, did you remember the -1?
Yeah. After I'd done the hits and the wound, she didn't bother asking me until she realised it was an amazing roll.
And of
then
course,
how do I get out of this?
I'm sat here editing, and she's like, did you remember the -1? And Sam's like, oh no, like this. And I thought she'll say, oh well, you know, it was a good set of rolls, let's just push on. And she was like, no, go back.
Do it all again, and of course I failed them all after that. And then that was like literally it, wasn't it? The entire game I killed one more, I think.
At least you're humble about it, Sam. At least you didn't moan too much.
So Johnny Rockstar has joined us, so has Tyler Miller, and I think Tyler Miller's been in a while. Of course he has. I've been quoting him. And Paul Davison has joined us, saying evening all. So evening to both of you who've just joined.
Yo.
Right.
Just to go back again, I know just to make this even longer, but the 40k stuff, I was just thinking, and actually, I always say that Age of Sigmar has got the best background, but that would be unfair because I don't think I've read or listened to any 40k book that I haven't enjoyed, other than the way that some of them are written, and that's just based on the author's style. I don't think I've not been fully immersed into an army after listening to some of the books.
I mean, what inspires me for Killteam, I know I've been talking about Mechanicum, but if any of you's read the Blood of Ashenheim book, It was perfect for me. I read it when I was quite young, actually. Well, I think I got it as soon as it came out. But I did Space Wars was my first 40k army, wasn't it? It was first hobby army, really. So for me, if I was able to do a kill team, I'd love to build up that team from that Ashenheim look, the Blades Master, the Long Fang with his heavy bolter, the guy who eventually becomes the Rune Priest, the Wolfguard with his giant Thunderhammer. It's one of my favourite stories is when the three of them take on that one Death Guard Terminator, and they're there just for hours smashing him to pieces, and the Death Guards, they're just like, come on kid, bring it at me, I'm not gonna die. It's just absolutely amazing. So I think for me it might be a good excuse for me to pull out some other Space Wolves again.
Why not?
Why not?
I think that does go back. I think Killteam is brilliant. Listen to an audiobook and then play Killteam.
I might have to. I mean, I've got that amazing Wolfguard model I converted, wasn't it, with the axe and sword? Do you remember that? I never painted him up. He was awesome.
I do like as well, Jack, how you said like you were doing Space Wolves. You listened to that book and it had Nurgle in it. What was your second army? What was your second big army that you went on to?
And then it also had Sisters in it, which I went on to do as well.
So one book has 3 armies.
Yeah. Well, it's great.
Mark Hume says, hello dudes, and Owen Jackson's just said, talking Age of Sigmar 2, how many of the new options are you considering mandatory for match play, realm rules, spells, artifacts, malign sorcery? Seems that there are so many options. Research abound.
I mean, I can say my thoughts if that's all right.
Go for it. Go for it.
So out of all of those, what I would say would be mandatory. Realm rules are optional. They're something you discuss beforehand, and both people have to agree to use those. Spells, I don't know on that, but I think spells can be. I think spells should be optional because,
as in the realm spells, yeah.
Yeah, the realm spells, because they're massively powerful. If you're playing an army that doesn't have them, you immediately against it. But on top of that, the way that it's done is you both pick a realm. So it's not like you roll on a chart and see which realm it is. You both roll off, and then whoever wins the roll off picks a realm. So if you know that you're playing a heavy magic army and you know that the realm of life is just game winning for you because of the way you've done your list, on a 50-50 chance that basically you're going to be picking something that could actually win the game massively, or put it in your favor quite a bit. So I think spells should be optional. Artifacts, I think, are they should be mandatory. They're available to everybody. You can pick a realm and your army can pick, it's available to everybody. Anything that's available for everybody should be mandatory in a way. Malign sorcery, again, I would say that's a choice thing. I think some of the spells, as you know what, that's an either or for me. It's not as much as like the law of spells thing, but they are quite powerful. But I don't think it's as bad because you still have to pay points for it. You still have to set it aside, and you can still dispel them and build your list to compete against them. So I'm not as bothered about malign sorcery, but I think artifacts is the only one I would also include. The rest of it, I'm not sure. What about you guys?
For me, I'm with you on the realm. I think that's almost a roll-off. It means, from our point of view, from doing battle reports, obviously I'm working on terrain to represent those realms, because I think that's important. I think
if you're doing friendly games, it's quite easy to decide, isn't it? So say if me and you were doing a game and we've got the Shyish board, I'm not going to turn around and say, no, I want to do it on the realm of beasts, just because it doesn't really fit. I kind of like that aesthetic behind it, that fits with it.
If you've got both tables, then go for it. If it's a friendly game at home anyway, it can be anything. I'm just saying for battle reports, it's one of the things we've tried to do is to make the tables provide an extra narrative to the game. Really. So in that respect, I quite like the fact there's realm rules, because I do think they add narrative. It feels like this table isn't different just because it's a different color. Because that's part of the challenge, isn't it? It's you literally could put a mug over there and a paint pot and a shoebox,
and it would do the same.
And it does the same as scenery. So the fact that you introduce realm rules, I think, brings a narrative element to the table you're playing on. So I think
you're right. I just think some of those rules, reading through them, are extremely one-sided. Like there's I mean, it's not even like it's a few of them. The majority of the rules will affect somebody in some major way, or it won't affect anybody at all, and that's pretty much the way it goes. So if you're rolling it and it affects the whole, if you're playing a gun line, for example, and you play one of the rules where you can't shoot more than 6 inches. You're like, okay, well then my arm is out. But because you've rolled for it and you've picked the realm of whatever, then you kind of stuck with it. So I think some of the rules are far too game changing for it to be just a thematic addition. I think again, those realm rules should affect everybody, not just an individual, a type of army or a unit specifically. It should affect everybody in the same way.
Yeah, but that's when it then comes down to the dice roll. So say we're playing on the realm of death. Some of the death affects shooting, some of the death affects combat. So I think that should be the random factor when you roll that 1 to 6 to see the realm rules. But choosing the realm that you're in could be more of a friendly decision, unless you're doing competitive play.
I think that's the thing, is that the point Sam's making is because it can swing a game quite dramatically. Take a shooting army and reduce its range to 6 inches. It's doomed from minute one.
On the same side, if they win that roll-off, they get an extra rend on all their missiles if they're more than 12 inches away.
Which is just as filthy.
Powerful. It's ridiculous.
But then there's some realms which heavily favour combat armies, or some of the realms are favoured more towards certain types, so either a shooting, magic, or combat. So if you win the roll-off and you're playing a combat army, you're like, okay, realm of Gur, because, 6 or 4 out of 6 of those rolls are going to benefit me greatly. It's just, I think it's more, whereas you get somewhere, it's like at the start of every hero phase, you roll a dice, and on a 6, somebody takes D3 mortal wounds. That will affect everybody. It's not something that's like, this only affects shooting or this only affects combat. I understand that there's randomized stuff, and that's fine, but I think it should affect everybody.
Well, we're into the last 5 minutes of the show. There's a couple of bits I want to pick up on the chat, and I just want to answer one last point on the malign sorcery. So, from my perspective, what we've seen in both of the battle tomes for Stormcast and for Nighthaunt is the malign sorcery rules or the malign sorcery spells. Factions are getting their own spells, so I don't see how that can be optional, to be honest.
If you're paying the points for it at the end, it's like saying you can't take a certain unit.
Yeah, they're in the battle tomes now,
they're in the
so
battle
the
tome,
cat's
you pay
out the bag,
points for
as
them.
they
It's
say.
not like you're getting something for nothing.
And the main set just gives access to more spells, that are non-faction specific. So I think that just is part of the game now.
Yeah. I think it is. Like the topic for this show was really just the magic on it and the kill team, and I think it plays into that. I think you have to, if you can feature magic in your army, it's going to be worth doing it in this edition. If you can't, then you're going to have to find a way to ally it in or overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think there's not a single person on this chat right now that isn't going, how do I get magic into my army? I mean, I've got Fire Slayers, you've got Beast Claws, and you've got Caradrons. So
the three of us are kind of sitting on our hands going, where's the magic? What's going on?
Show me the magic.
We go against Rachel. We should have a game. Us three versus like Pink and Rachel and Potter or something, and just do magic versus non-magic.
I'll just like take Marathi and drop a purple sun like 48 inches away. It's great.
Saying that, I've done a battle report against Rachel, and it
didn't play that heavily, did it?
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't game breaking.
I don't know how yeah, exactly. I kind of expected to be much worse off than I was.
Fire Slayers are OP, remember?
Of course, along with Caradron Overlords and Brayherds.
Caradron Caradrons weren't OP when you collected them. You were planning on starting them.
Oh no, I always said they were OP, but I bought mine before I bought the battle tome, so I didn't know they were OP. I just bought the models.
They're not OP. You should see the complaints online. Like this new edition, everyone's complaining. I'm just taking my little boat and flying around.
Yeah, but if we go for popularity, Sam, I'm doing the weakest army of them all.
Whatever, Jack. Your army.
Nobody plays them, so I've got the weakest
So
army.
while we go into the last few minutes, then anybody that plays Daughters of Cain, get something up on the Wargamer Online community Facebook group, or get it onto the forum on wargameronline.com. We want to see Daughters of Cain for inspiration. Saying that, Jack, you'll be very pleased. This week's latest White Dwarf, or this month's latest White Dwarf, has got a beautiful Daughters of Cain army in there. So you need to check that out, because you will be happy. You will be happy when you see it. But I've lost it. So there you go. I'm going to quickly, if I can get this up.
We need to do the bits as well, if we've got time.
Just going to do that, though. Look at that beautiful army there. So, right. Well, okay, I've only got one bit, Sam, because I ran out of time in the setup. But I'm happy to show
Well, we'll leave bits. We'll leave bits for next time.
We'll leave bits for next time. we've just got a couple of comments then as we come to a close then. So Owen Jackson says, I think there needs to be thematic narrative choices, but it appears the game could be easy to break if someone is too gamey. And I think that's the point you were making.
Yeah, I think it's all good having different realms and different rules, but if it's too much, it's not great.
Owen goes on to say, with some battle rolling, we could see a super salty Sam.
Oh, you know what? Jack is worse than me, and that's a big statement. But I think Jack is closely coming up to becoming the King of Soul, and I will be the Prince or something.
It's only against you, Sam. You just drive me up the wall. That is true,
because obviously that was the comment on your latest battle
because
report,
my army is so overpowered, nobody can win apart from Sam, who won and destroyed every part of my
Let's keep the salt levels down on this game, guys.
See, even just talking about just loses it.
Tyler says the new magic rules are a big benefit to my Spider Fang army.
Yes.
Do go on and explain why. Do you know?
Just grots in general. You've got some amazing spells in that army, and the fact that the casters are so cheap, you can basically bring a grot, you buy an endless spell for the same price as the grot shaman, and then you just throw spells around the battlefield. I was saying to Pink when we went out the other week, I was saying that we were out for a meal and we ended up just chatting Warhammer, and I was saying that grots and in particular Spider Fang are going to be really powerful, and Moonclan in this new edition. I think we're going to see a lot of grot armies this time.
They get their mushrooms, don't they? So on a 2 they get +2 to the casting roll, which isn't shabby, is it?
And on those big endless spells that you really just you don't care if you're paying next to nothing for these shamans.
They're literally there.
Pancake goes on to say, whilst magic is stronger, there are ways to counter it, and endless spells cost points, so less enemy models. I agree with that. I think there are, but some armors are limited. Like for mine, I have to bring either a navigator who's literally useless pretty much for everything, or I put on an artifact, in which case my heroes have to be out of their vessels in order to be in the range to spell things. And at that point, he's not doing his job, which is sitting in the vessel doing something for it. So for me, it's kind of, do I jump out and try and dispel something, or do I stay in the ship and he does his job? So I'm probably not going to be dispelling much in this game. Coleman goes on to say he's available for children's parties and so on, if anybody's looking for someone who can grumble about how all their dwarves got nerfed. So there you go.
Exactly.
Ian Stanford says good night, see you later, and Tom Wilson says I sense a Jeremy Kyle situation after Sam and Jack's battle.
We need it just so we can continue to be civil with each other.
We just bicker. I think every time we see each other, we just complain, don't we, Jack?
Yeah, pretty much. We just like to moan.
Right, at that, it's probably we didn't quite get everything covered, but it was our first one of a new format.
Yeah, we'll be better at it, and this will hopefully be working enough so that we can put it up on Apple Stream Cloud podcast audio services. Yeah, so for all those who have been asking about podcasts, we'll see if this works. We're doing it because it's been asked so many times, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll try and tweak it again a little bit. But hopefully, we'll have these weekly. So either whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it, you'll be able to catch up with some nonsense each week. As I said, leave in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Leave any sort of suggestions for topics or any questions you want us to go over, and it gives us more stuff to talk about in the next episode. And other than that, I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah, Sam said it all. So thank you very much for coming along. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to pop over to wargameronline.com. Check out what's going off there. Premium membership keeps us supported, keeps us doing all of this wonderful stuff. And other than that, it's a big thank you to everybody who came along tonight. Thanks for joining in on the chat. It makes the shows what it is, and thanks for supporting us all. So good night, folks.
See ya.
See ya.
Night, Sam.
Bye. See you later.